perhaps as big a problem for them to treat as the physical trauma that they account. How much of an emotional problem, a psychological problem, is it if you're involved in a situation like this?
Yeah, basically what people usually develop is what we call post-traumatic stress disorder. And the way to identify that, to see whether people are experiencing that, it's people usually have recurring intrusive thoughts of the event, in this instance of witnessing or being part of what took place. They also tend to experience nightmares, startle responses at sudden noises. People tend to become very hypervigilant of their surroundings. And this is, by the way, all it's a normal reaction to stress. However, once it becomes a chronic symptom, once you begin to have these nightmares chronically, like for at least a month, let's say, then it becomes a problem. And that's when I think people should start looking for treatment.
So at this juncture, what should folks do if they experience any psychological symptoms, having been through this just 24 hours ago?
Right. Yeah, the best way to deal with it now, I think, is to gather social support, get family together and talk about what they have witnessed and what their experience is about. It's what we call debriefing. So what they need to talk is about their own personal experience, because people were probably at different places at the time of the incident, and what happened to them, and what the emotional experience was about. So that's very important for people to gather together, the community itself, and then families, and talk about what their experience is.
And if you do that right now, then there's a possibility that you can avoid the continuing problems later on.
Absolutely. That usually helps to prevent the development of post-traumatic stress disorder.
What about people who don't get it out, who just keep it within?
Right. You know, people respond to stressors in different ways. Some people like to keep things in, and you don't have to push them too hard. That's okay too. It's the way they cope with the situation. However, they should be encouraged to at least talk about certain things. But we have the extremes. People tend to avoid talking about the experience, and that could become a real problem. You can assess that within 2 to 3 days if someone tends to avoid watching news programs, so not talking about the incident. That's when that person should be encouraged to really talk about what he or she is feeling.
How bad could the reactions be? To permanent disorder, psychological disorder?
Yeah. You know, actually we have a special program at the New York State Psychiatric Institute at Columbia University, and we specialize in that. So it can become very severe. And people who are vulnerable to that are basically people who have been exposed to prior traumas. So that, those are the people who are particularly vulnerable to develop a chronic post-traumatic stress reaction to what's going on now. People who, for instance, who have been sexually, physically abused.
Okay, could you just hold on one second, please, Doctor, and please stay with us for a few moments, if you would, because we have Senator Hillary Clinton on the phone. Senator, are you there? Good morning.
Yes, I am, Jim.
Senator, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. There was a wonderful sight yesterday evening of your colleagues singing "God Bless America" on the steps of the Capitol. And describe the situation among your colleagues in the Senate now. You seem to be uniting in a bipartisan fashion right behind the president.
Well, Jim, that's exactly what we're doing. We were there on the steps of the Capitol to send a very clear message that the United States government was united. Republicans, Democrats, both houses of Congress, that we were resolute in our